Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Backlot Banter, your favorite movie commentary channel on the entire internet, I would say.
We don't do commentary tracks, by the way. Just want to be clear.
I meant like broader commentary. Like we talk about movies, we
Yes,
comment on movies. And Tucker, that is exactly what we'll be doing that's exactly what we'll be doing today.
Yes.
But these are not movies that have been released.
What?
These are movies that will be released by this time next year.
Films yet to
Tucker.
come.
Exactly. We are talking about some questions that we have for the movies of 2024. This will be a nice little year-end video. I think our 2023 recap stuff is still in the works.
Yep.
There's some things we have to see yet, but I thought this would be an interesting exercise and a time capsule. We love making videos that are time capsules, don't we, Tucker? But before we get into all that nonsense, let's do the plugs. Let's do the little things where you subscribe to Backlot Banter. That is something that you do. You must do it right now.
Sure.
You like this
Yeah,
video,
so.
you comment down below, or comment some questions that you might have about 2024 films. Comment those down below.
Or reply to some of the questions we'll be asking here today. This is meant to spark conversation.
Precisely. And the conversation can be had in our Discord channel.
Shit.
That link is in the description. There you can talk about those questions. You can talk about movies. You can talk about video games. You can talk about comics, anime, I believe is what the kids are calling it nowadays. Anything, really. It's a good time in there. You should join up.
Great. Let's get this ball rolling, Tanner. 2024 is upon us.
We made these questions independently.
Yes.
And you don't know what I'm going to ask, and I don't know what you're going to ask. Apparently, we had a third party, some third party interference
Who
with
shall not be
Abram.
named. No,
Sorry. Who we texted these questions to. As it turns out, we do have a little bit of crossover, but we'll just play it by ear. We'll play it. We'll play it as it lies.
Yeah. And also, topic can just spring out of the fucking ether. If we're talking about something, we're going to shift topics. We're talking about a movie. We want to talk about something else about it. Yeah. Who's going to stop us? Someone come barging into my room with a gun to my head? Don't do that. I don't know.
I don't know. Tucker, we'll just have to wait and see if that happens.
We can keep recording, and we'd upload the
But Tucker, what is your first question?
Okay, let's start with... Here's the trend that I want to track from this year to next year. And I'm going to start this in a interestingly fun place. Which movies will have the highest budgets, and how high will those budgets go? Because this year we have been inundated with new top 10, top 15 most highest budgeted movies ever made.
Indiana Jones, $300 million. Fast X, $340. I believe Mission Impossible was like $280.
Yeah.
The Marvels was $275.
What are we doing here, folks? A. But B, that's not stopping anytime soon. And so looking at the lineup of films next year, which one do you think will have the biggest budget? And where do you think that sort of caps out?
Oh, okay. Now, part of me thinks that we are out of the COVID budget inflation, but I think that it'll still be there.
Yeah.
It'll still be there. What we are in now, next year we'll be looking at the SAG and WGA strike budget inflations.
Sure. Yeah. Having to delay those. There's some movies that started their marketing campaigns early that have then had to be pushed, like a movie like Dune or The Bike Riders. Of course, one of those much smaller than the other. But Dune Part 2 is going to have an inflated budget of an extra, 25, 30, 40 million because they have to restart the marketing campaign.
The current reporting on Dune Part 2's budget is that it's $20 million cheaper than the first Dune.
Okay. Well, we'll see how that turns out by the time the movie releases.
Is that, the first Dune I believe was like 165. This is in the ballpark of like 120 to 140.
Okay. Yeah, which is, for that kind of blockbuster, responsibly budgeted.
Yeah, it's crazy that they made something that looks like that for that little. The one that I'm really concerned about is probably Deadpool 3.
Oh, that's an interesting one, yeah.
Which is a movie that I think we might be talking about a bit in this video because a lot of people are anticipating it as one of the... it is the most anticipated movie of next year, according to some Fandango and IMDb polling.
Oh, okay.
And it's also maybe projected to be one of the highest grossing films of next year.
Sure.
But I mean, that movie had a significant. They were well into filming when the SAG strike happened, and they had to pause. They're also doing on-set stuff, as we've seen. We've seen a lot of on-set leaks from that. I mean, Ryan Reynolds has had to respond to those leaks and be like, "Hey, could you not take pictures on set and then send them around and stuff? Like, it ruins the movie."
Yeah.
But if we look at the current trend of Marvel products, they are massively overinflated.
Yeah. And this is the first time that we're getting a Fox Marvel movie from in-house Disney. This is a full-on MCU Marvel Studios project, but it is one that is based in the worlds that were made popular by Fox's studios and creatives. That I don't have an exact memory of how much the X-Men and X-Men Tangential movies ended up costing, but I don't remember them being exorbitantly high expenses. But we're not talking about that anymore. So maybe Deadpool 1 and 2 were like, obviously both of them made a good chunk of change, but maybe they cost a little bit less. But this one also has the unfortunate side effect of there's going to be some crossover characters and cameos and actors showing back up for 5 minutes that they got to pay $5 million to or whatever.
Yes.
And that's
we got to CGI those folks in. We got to green screen them in. We have to overwork our CGI workers again. I think that's definitely going to be a factor here, Tucker.
Yeah. Some other ones for me, looking at this list, two that jump out are Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes and Godzilla vs. Kong: The New Empire, or Godzilla X Kong: The New Empire.
Yes.
Both of those movies seem like the big budget spectacle films that, for whatever reason, the budget just went rampant, and every day they were racking up a couple more million, and so I expect those to be some of the highest budgeted movies next year.
Yeah. I'm just gonna take a quick squiz and see if there's anything else that might be stupid.
Well, the Fall Guy could cost a lot. We have no idea. There's nothing to compare that to.
Actually, I think we know the cost on it. I think it's $200 million.
Okay.
I remember sending that to you guys.
That's very big. Yeah.
It's big. It's too big for the Fall Guy. Or no, Tucker, my mistake.
Uh-oh.
That's Argyle.
Yes, definitely
budget.
Argyle has a $200 million
Even worse, I might add, that Argyle
worse.
cost $200 million.
Yeah, and actually, I want to use this opportunity to talk a little bit about the Fall Guy, because I don't have a specific question about it, but I think it actually is, in a weird way, one of my most anticipated upcoming releases, because with a little bit of research, you and I discovered that this is the first new IP movie to start the summer season since like 2002 or something ridiculous like that.
Yeah.
And there was a smattering of them, back in the 90s and the early 2000s, but this slot has been so dominated by Marvel. The fact that they had to step away from a lot of their movies releasing next year left some space, and the Fall Guy sits in that spot that we usually get, like the Avengers movies and Guardians and stuff like that in. And so there's a chance that if properly marketed, hopefully it's a good movie. That's the primary thing. But if properly marketed and a quality film, releasing in that slot could be really big for this. And it would be it's really exciting to have something fresh in that spot, rather than returning to a franchise that's got a bunch of entries again and again and again to start the summer season.
I don't remember specifically, but yeah, Tucker, you mentioned it'll be the first non-superhero title to hold that spot since Mission Impossible 3 in 2006.
Yeah.
And I think it might be. I think it's the first original IP or whatever you want to call it, not sequel or anything like that, that is holding that spot since Pirates of the Caribbean in 2003.
Damn.
Yeah. So hey. Tucker, is there anything else? I was gonna continue my squiz into see what other things might have highly inflated budgets. I said Deadpool.
There's an
3.
untitled Disney film for September of next year. We don't know what it is.
Yes.
Could be. Oh no, I guess that would be an animated movie. But usually their new animated movies have gigantic budgets. So it's very funny that we don't know what that is.
It is very funny.
It's very strange, actually.
Oh, you know what I think could do something, Tucker? Okay. I think Gladiator Part 2. They also had to pause filming.
Yeah,
that sounds like something.
Ridley Scott does not care. He simply does not care.
He's a big epic filmmaker, Tucker, and he does not care.
He
does
likes
he?
to spend a lot of money.
I got one more for you.
Okay.
Mufasa, the Lion King.
Yeah. All right. Now let's use that as a barometer, because I think that's a very good contender for most expensive movie made next year.
Yeah.
Well, actually, hold on, let's get the budget for 2019 Lion King. Lion King 2019 budget. $260 million. This could
$260 million?
This could be higher.
Oh, Tucker, we're looking at 300 plus for sure.
Yeah, let's set the bar at 300 and be disappointed when it's more.
I think so. I think that's.
Oh man.
Yeah.
That's a fun way to end the year next year.
Yeah, it is. And Tucker, that's related. That's actually a movie that's in contention for one of my questions.
Okay.
Which is, 2023 was dominated by Barbenheimer, obviously. So my question is, for you, what will be the single biggest day for movies next year? Will there be a successful Barbenheimer, or what will be our biggest, like, oh, these two movies came out on the same day.
Okay.
Now I have a couple options here for you. If you want to scroll through, and I'll note what's on them.
Sure.
So firstly, we in the first quarter of the year, on March 29th, we'll have Ghostbusters, Frozen Empire, and Mickey 17. That's a new film from Bong Joon-ho.
Sure. That could be an interesting one where it's a funny thing, kind of like Saw Patrol was.
Yeah.
They didn't eat into each other's market value. They just appealed to different demographics, and they both did reasonably well for their budgets. Mickey 17's not going to be that big. It will be popular with the film crowd. We're going to go see it. It'll probably be really good. Trust Bong Joon-ho, especially after Parasite, obviously. But I think both movies need to be on equal level of box office prominence in order for me to consider one of these days like, oh, this is a contender for holy shit. I'm excited to see two different kinds of movies on the same day. We do that all the time, but Mickey 17 is not on the level of the next Ghostbusters movie for me to be like, yeah,
that's fair.
It's one of those.
That's fair. Okay, we'll talk. I got one more in between, but I think we might have our answer on my third one. Okay. But between those is April 26th is Challengers, or sorry. No, I said Challengers and Civil War. No, that might be like a big day for me personally because I'm very excited for Challengers. But I just wanted to note that those two are coming out on the same day. The big one is May 24th.
Yeah,
Labor Day weekend 2024.
Yeah,
it sees the release of Furiosa of Mad Max Saga. Excuse me, Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes,
and I'll be saying it a lot.
And the Garfield movie.
Yeah, I think that has the potential to be the highest single day for, especially for how much money these movies are making. There is the chance that they cannibalize each other a little bit, and none of them will be able to capitalize on their market value to the extent that they, frankly, should be able to if they aren't all released on the same day. But I also think that we're using this as a time capsule. I think there's a chance one of those gets pushed, and so it doesn't become three juggernauts in terms of box office on the same day. Because if you just push one of those to the week before or 2 weeks before, that's just better for all of them, frankly. And so, but regardless, I think two of them will release on this day, and I think it still has the potential to be very big if each of these movies hits in the way that the studios want them to. There's the chance that people just aren't interested in Furiosa. There's a chance that King of the Planet of the Apes, that was a thing of a bygone era, and the trailer looks reasonably good, but are people really excited for it? I don't know. The only one I'm actually confident will do a good amount of money is Garfield.
Yeah, I was gonna say, am I crazy for thinking that Garfield will probably come out on top that weekend?
I think it's the safest bet in terms of this will make the amount of money I think it will. But I also think that King of the Planet Apes has the highest cap in terms of if it exceeds my expectations, it can go the highest, I think.
Yeah. I think so too. Garfield's then Illumination thing, and I was a little apprehensive about it. But then, is it?
I thought it was Sony.
Oh, it's Sony. You're right. Sorry,
okay.
I was thinking Chris Pratt, Mario, Illumination.
That
was the connection I was making.
Yes.
But no, because I was gonna say it has. The trailer that we've seen in theaters one or two times always has some buzziness around it. I find
Garfield.
I think it's cute Garfield. I think it's what's doing it. Cute baby Garfield. But also Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes has some positive buzz for that trailer too. So I don't know. And people were there was sort of a discourse online about the Furiosa trailer. So I don't know. I'm not so sure about that one, Chief. I got a couple more options here for you, Tucker, before we move on to another question of yours. June 28th is going to be A Quiet Place Day 1 and Horizon An American Saga Chapter 1.
These are, I struggle to say, interestingly enough, even though that these are releasing in that June-July area where we usually do see giant juggernauts opening on the same day, I struggle to call this one of those because they're both unknown quantities. Do people care about a Quiet Place prequel? I don't know. I do. But do people care? Will they come out to theaters for it? It's certainly possible.
Do real people care?
Yeah. Real human beings. And Horizon American Saga, Kevin Costner coming back, trying to put some butts in seats for big, epic American nonsense.
Like Yellowstone adjacent. Yeah, Yellowstone adjacent might get some butts in seats. I'm gonna tell you that much.
Yeah. They both could be big, but they're both very big question marks in my mind.
Yeah. September 27th is not typically a day for stuff like this, but it is potentially a big day for horror because we are getting an untitled Jordan Peele produced, so that means the Monkey Paw Studios or Monkey Paw Productions. Sorry, Monkey Paw Film is all I said. And Saw 11.
Yeah, and I mean, obviously, this is not like the other ones we've talked about. The max for both these, especially because the Monkey Paw film is not the next Jordan Peele film. That is still coming up. Jordan Peele films, I think, have the opportunity to open very big. Yeah. But just because it's produced by Monkey Paw, frankly, that doesn't mean anything. In terms of it being a big box office draw. We've seen quite a few Monkey Paw releases come out and, frankly, just die at the box office. No one cares. And Saw... It could be bigger than 10. I don't know, but
I don't know.
Yeah,
about that, though.
I'm not positive on that one.
And Tucker, because you mentioned it, December 25th, Christmas 2025. Exactly, not exactly. A little over a year from where we are sitting right now, sees the release of Jordan Peele's new film and Robert Eggers' Nosferatu.
That's a big day for sickos. I don't think it's a big day for the box office.
It's a huge day for sickos.
But I will say, there is the possibility that any number of these big studio movies from Wicked to Mufasa to Beetlejuice to whatever, something gets delayed to also release on Christmas. Because I'm frankly very surprised there is not a major studio release.
December 20th, just a few days before, sees the release of Mufasa and Sonic the Hedgehog 3.
Which I think is probably the biggest possible day for the box office out of these ones we've read. There's also, just a couple of weeks before, Wicked Part 1 and the untitled Disney animation film coming out on the same day. Both of those, obviously, those are big. That
big Thanksgiving date as well.
Yeah. But I'm surprised that there's nothing on December 25th yet, so I'm going to go out on a limb and say there will be something delayed into that slot or pushed up a little bit or whatever.
Yeah.
Something big is going to come out on that day because, Tanner, you're like, just a couple days before we're getting Mufasa and Sonic. And those are the big movies of that time. But we're getting 3 big releases on the 22nd, just a couple days. And then we're getting more releases on the 25th, a couple days after that. So
we are indeed.
Yeah. We're looking at a couple of big days next year, but none of them really jump out at me. It's like, that's going to be massive. Okay.
I think the one we settled on was probably May 24th, that Labor Day weekend where we get
May 24th and December 20th.
Yeah, are the ones where we're kind of like, and especially May 24th. I'm like, well, we had 2 films for Barbenheimer, so what if we did 3 films next time?
I don't know if that's better.
They'll be even bigger and more successful.
I don't know about that. Luckily, Barbenheimer ate the air of everything around it, and so August was just a dead zone this year where those movies can make money. But
Tucker, lay another question on me.
Okay, let's see. We've been talking about big budget stuff, and why stop? Why stop?
Okay, yeah.
Here's my question to you, Tanner. Will the big R-rated sequels flop? We've got a good chunk of them next year. We've got Joker, we've got Deadpool 3, we've got Gladiator 2, and we've got Furiosa, a Mad Max saga. All of these coming off of the heels of, if not billion-dollar pictures, close to it. I mean, Joker, Deadpool, Gladiator, and Mad Max Fury Road are each of their years some of the highest-grossing, most respected movies of each of their years. And now we're getting sequels to all of them in one year, and they're all rated R, and they're all going to have fucking gigantic budgets. Mm-hmm. Can they recapture that energy? And which ones? Because obviously there's differing degrees of success for each of these.
Deadpool 3 is going to be huge no matter what, I think.
I don't agree with that. I think Deadpool
You don't agree?
Deadpool 3 can be huge. I don't think it's no matter what. Because we are in such a rut of superhero movies right now where I think even Deadpool can be cannibalized by it. I think it can stand out, and I think it will stand out as the only MCU release next year. But I don't think it's a no matter what situation. There is a scenario where it does not do it.
Tucker, I just feel, I think you look at the facts, you look at the numbers, and you look at the Hugh Jackman, and you're like, it's gotta be huge.
I don't know.
Tucker, we're doing No Way Home again. We're doing No Way Home again, but for X-Men. Like, I don't see how that is I don't see how that's a flop. I don't see it. Yeah. I don't see. People love Deadpool. People love Hugh Jackman as Wolverine. I don't see how it's a flop.
Now, do you think this is a $1 billion picture?
That's the maybe for me. I think it could. I think it makes north of $750 million.
Deadpool 2, $785.
Yeah.
Total.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm talking about. We are slap in the middle of the summer with this thing. Mm-hmm. So I feel good. I feel good about saying, $850, $900 million.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, that is certainly the safer side to err on in terms of if we're talking about what has the opportunity to make money and put butts in seats, if we're going on track record, yeah. Deadpool obviously is one of those things. I just err on the side of we're kind of stumbling into unknown territory at this point as basically every superhero movie this year has just fucking cratered, especially since summer. So I'm not 100% confident, but I do agree. If you're a betting man, you're gonna say Deadpool 3 is gonna make a lot of money.
Exactly. So the other ones you brought up there, Tucker, I think Joker 2 doesn't make $1 billion.
No,
I think it does. I think it makes like $500-600 mil.
Okay.
I think, because I think it'll just be too weird for people to make that $1 billion again.
I agree with that. Yeah.
It's a musical, I think the typical Joker fans, the people who went out to see it, and it still confounds me that Joker made $1 billion.
How did it happen?
It's really crazy to me.
We were there day one, still don't know how it happened.
Yeah, exactly. But I think it'll just be I think it'll be a turnoff for a lot of those general audience goers, especially as we're looking down the barrel of like what am I? Oh, we just got Wonka. We're looking down the barrel of Mean Girls, and there was this recent Deadline report. I think that studios feel the need to hide the fact that they are making musicals because they feel that the general public is not interested. Yeah. So if you have that, and if you have that aspect of things going into Joker Folie, I think you're gonna be in a little bit of trouble, but I think it's still gonna be big.
Yeah. No,
I think that opening weekend is gonna be big for at least.
Yeah, and I think word of mouth, if people aren't vibing with it being a musical, will be like, what the fuck is this? And that could really tank its second weekend. But so I'm just looking at the budgets, actually. Joker in 2019 was between $55 and $70 million and made $1 billion.
Yeah.
You know what, Warner Brothers? Good for you. Good for you.
They did it.
I genuinely commend you for making a mid-budget movie that made $1 billion. That is... And also get nominated for Best Picture, winning Best Actress. That is a fucking resounding success. And I think Folie is, for multiple reasons, maybe at best half as successful as that first one. The budget on Joker Folie does look like it's around $150 million. So it's double or triple the budget of that first one. And so it will be a significantly less of a return on investment for our fine folks there at Warner Brothers who they need wins. But I don't know if this is going to be the giant win that Joker was for them.
And Tucker, I don't feel good about Furiosa. I just looked it up. Fury Road made $380 million at the worldwide box office. And I just don't know. I think the trailer I think the trailer gives off weird vibes.
And also, not that $380 million is like the studio holy shit gross you want to be recapturing.
Yeah.
In our minds, Mad Max Fury Road is like an $800 million picture. It's not. It never was. It just gained popularity over the years. But it was probably marketed maybe because the Mad Max Fury Road, especially audience, has grown in size and fervor over the years. But I also think that George Miller's lost his juice. I'm not gonna lie. I mean, I liked 3,000 Years of Longing, but I'm a fucking sicko, and nobody saw that movie.
I just looked it up quickly too. Fury Road doubled its budget at that with that worldwide gross. Like it's good, and obviously that's what you want to see, but it's not insane.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I'm getting some wobbly vibes from Furiosa.
Yep,
So
yep.
I think we kind of went through them in the order of success there for the R-rated sequels.
Well, there's one more, which is Gladiator 2.
Oh, yes.
Because
Yes,
Gladiator
you're right.
was, I believe, the highest grossing movie of the year it came out, or at least in the
Let me
top
look it
5.
Yeah.
Or at least in the top 10. I don't think people care about Ridley Scott that much anymore. I think that...
Gladiator was number 3 for 2000.
so very close. Yeah.
Yeah.
Obviously a very, very successful movie. I believe Ridley Scott's highest grossing movie.
Yeah, that sounds right.
And won Best Picture, resounding critical success, financial success. I don't think people care about Ridley Scott anymore. I think that the kind of movies that that he makes have lost their favor. And I think the other big problem is that, again, as we mentioned earlier, Ridley Scott does not give a fuck. He will spend as much money on these movies as he needs to. Way too much, frankly. For each of these movies, you look at these budgets like, no, you shouldn't have done that. It was not worth that. I think that somehow, some way, Gladiator 2 is going to cost $260 million, and it's going to make, maybe $350, and it's going to lose whatever unfortunate studio Ridley Scott convinced to make
Convinced to do that? Yeah.
It's going to lose them a shitload of money. And it might be picked up in a couple of awards areas next year, but also the awards don't love Ridley Scott anymore. So we don't even have these safe, he's going to be nominated for production. It's going to be nominated for production design and score and actor and supporting actor. Maybe, but the modern track record is dead for Ridley Scott.
Yeah. I pulled up the Gladiator 2 letterbox page here. So the studio on this is Paramount. So okay,
Sure.
Paramount and Universal. Okay, so it's one of the two. Sure. All right.
Hey, Paramount. Godspeed to them, giving the artists their budgets. That Damien Chazelle convinced them to give him a shitload of money for Babylon last year.
Yeah. But what was I gonna say here, Tucker? I was gonna say that I don't feel good about spelling doom for Gladiator 2 now.
Fair enough.
Because I think that we could not be looking at $1 billion picture, but I think we could be looking at some sort of a Top Gun scenario here.
Okay, maybe.
Gladiator is a beloved film
Yeah.
by the wider public. It's been about 20 years. It's been a little over 20 years since we've had that. And I think that we could recapture some interest there, especially when we're looking at the cast. We have Paul Mescal, who is an up-and-comer for young people.
But not a box office draw.
Not a box office draw,
Yes.
but he is, he's maybe like a Miles Teller kind of situation
Okay,
there.
yeah.
We have Denzel Washington, who is a box office draw.
Oh, I forgot he was in that. That's interesting.
Yeah. Who else do we have? We have Pedro Pascal. We have, okay, maybe not a whole lot of other big names in here, but we have some returners. Connie Nielsen, Joseph Quinn. He was in Stranger Things. So I don't feel right about saying it's gonna flop right now.
Sure.
But I maybe slipped climbing up the mountain of Gladiator 2 just slightly there, looking at some of the details.
Yeah.
So I'm going to say in the order that we just laid out, Tucker, where it's Deadpool 3,
Sure.
Joker Folie, Deux, I'm going to say Gladiator, and then Furiosa.
I think that's a safe order to go in.
Yeah.
But we will see.
We will see indeed. Tucker, I have another question for you
Okay.
here. And this is the one that we have in common, so let's just talk about it, because I think it's something that we both have a gross interest in, I would say. The Spunk.
Yeah.
Because we have 3 Spunk movies coming out next year. Those being Madam Web, Kraven the Hunter, and Venom 3. And Tucker, this is a moment for us to have fun while I ask, which one will be the worst?
Oh, okay. That's not actually anything close to the question that I have to ask. So we've got 2 Spunk-related questions we'll do back to back here.
Because we've been talking a lot about box office, so I want to take a brief
Oh,
aside.
God.
And just say, which one, us personally, or you and I personally, which one will we enjoy the least? Which one will we hate the most? Because we will dislike all these movies,
absolutely
I think. It's safe to say.
I think I have the most ire towards Venom 3. Because I think that Madam Web is a big enough meme to where even when it is bad, I say it will be bad, and I'm very safe.
I would agree.
It's a big enough meme for me to be kind of like Morbius. Morbius is a fucking god awful movie. I don't hate Morbius though.
Yeah,
I
okay.
hated Let There Be Carnage. Venom Let There Be Carnage.
Okay.
It was Morbius is worse, but because of Morbius
Yes.
being a bigger meme and also not making as much money, it didn't annoy me as much as
There's
Let
also
There Be Carnage.
there's a very weird thing in the film spaces that we sort of frequent. Me more than you, film Twitter, where there's like some people who maybe ironically or maybe unironically enjoy the Venom films.
Sure. Yeah.
And I just can't understand it. I can't get behind it. I can't support
We
it
gave a scathing
ideologically.
review to Let There Be
Exactly.
Carnage.
But Tucker, I gotta say Craven.
Yeah. I don't know.
Think about it.
For me, it is something new, at least. It gets bonus points
Okay.
for that.
Okay.
And also, Aaron Taylor Johnson could be kind of fun as Kraven the Hunter. If he's hamming it up, if he's really hamming it up, in the way that Tom Hardy does. To be fair, no ire towards Tom Hardy. Best part of those movies. Consistently very good. Like the Eddie Brock Venom relationship. But if the Spunk can make a new villain that's really hamming it up, Aaron Taylor Johnson as Kraven the Hunter might be another one of those where it's actually a really fun performance for him. And that's all you need, to not hate that movie.
I just don't think he's gonna be having fun.
Maybe.
I don't think he's gonna be fun. I think they're gonna try to like stoicize him into being. He's gonna crack some jokes here and there, but like.
Which, by the way, already not a great place for Kraven to be in. You don't want your Kraven cracking jokes.
No.
And somehow they're gonna spin it to be a fucking anti-hero story where there's an even worse
well, that's
villain.
what they always do, and it's rated R, and he's gonna like he bites people's noses off in the trailer, and like
okay, maybe it's
I don't
not
know.
as fun.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's got to be Craven for me because it doesn't have the known quantity of Venom where I'm like I know Eddie Brock and like it's occasionally Tom Hardy. Well, I would say Tom Hardy is fun to see go off the rails in the Venom movies.
You remember in Let There Be Carnage that whole scene where he's like making breakfast and like it's going crazy. That was a very fun
when he gets in the
scene.
lobster tank in the first one. Like he does shit like that because Tom Hardy for whatever reason loves being Venom.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is.
Now, but here's the thing
and
about all
Madam
this,
Web
Tanner.
is going to be stupid silly. And we saw the trailer again before Wonka, and I turned to our friend Sam and I said, "God, that movie is going to be so awful. I'm so excited."
This is the real conundrum here. I think that Madam Web will probably actually be the worst of these movies. I think from what we've seen in these trailers, no one is giving a performance I have any fucking possible connection to. Yeah. The concept is already incredibly stupid. This is the deepest we've ever reached into the bag for a superhero movie.
Really?
And because fucking El Muerto and maybe Hypno Hustler, these movies are fucking fake. But Madam Web was
they're
shot,
not happening.
filmed, and has marketing. And
I saw someone describe it. I saw someone describe it as one of those movies. It's like one of those movies that you heard about from the Sony leaks from like 2014, Sony email leaks that became real.
Yeah,
like it's like the Aunt May secret agent movie, but they made it. It's coming out in a couple months.
Yeah, but I think it'll probably be the worst.
I think
there's a fun potential in Aaron Taylor Johnson as Craven, and obviously in Tom Hardy as Eddie Brock, but Dakota Johnson is fucking Madam Web. No, she looks awful, but it's a big enough meme, and so therein lies the balance.
it's two wolves fighting the two spunk wolves fighting in your brain.
Yeah,
Doug, you had a spunk question. What is it?
I did, Tanner.
Yeah.
Here is the $1 million question for the Sony
go.
Pictures Universal Marvel characters. Do we see them tie in greater to the MCU next year? Do each of these movies, in some way, form, or fashion, or at least the majority of them, feature MCU tie-ins? My answer is a resounding yes. Because the spunk has only increased in connective tissue. With the last two movies that we got, both of them featured. Not prominently, but both of them featured MCU direct tie-ins. And frankly, even one of the more recent MCU movies we got tied in to the spunk with Venom being in the post credits of No Way Home. I think the answer is yes. I don't know how, but they're going to figure out some godforsaken fucking way. And here's I'm shooting my moonshot. All right.
Okay, here we go. Are you predicting the post credit scene here?
Oh, yeah, for all these, I'm doing all three. Okay. I'm doing all three of them.
Okay, here we
Madam
go.
Web ties into Spider-Verse somehow. We're going to get some sort of maybe it's like the sound or the visuals of like of a portal or something, just to hint that. Or maybe it's Madam Web like looking into the fucking Spider-Verse multiverse, and we see like a shot.
I've also heard some people say that this movie is taking place in like the early 2000s. That if they want to tie it in, this is tied into like a forgotten Spider-Man comic story too. That Aunt May is in this film. Emma Roberts is playing Aunt May, and there's this weird fucked up comic story where like she is pregnant with Peter Parker, but she gives Peter Parker to Peter Parker's like parents that we broadly knew. So I'm like, are they insane enough to try to fold that all in? And like, do they imply it's Tom Holland? Do they imply it's Andrew Garfield? Like, what's the point here? What's the implication? I'm not really sure.
I also think there's a chance.
I think that's also likely.
Maybe. I think that's.
I meant your Spider-Verse thing.
Well, I think my Spider-Verse thing is more likely because Madam Web is a very Spider-Verse-y character. Multiverse stuff is as prevalent now as it's ever been, and I think that is also in some way how we get information from those other movies. I think that we'll hear something in Venom 3 about the fact that part of the symbiote's now in the other universe, and Venom's gonna be like, wow, I feel some crazy shit going on in like this other little part of me. And there's gonna be something in the post-credits. I don't know what it's going to be. But I think that the most likely scenario for Kraven and Venom 3 is that somehow we tie this in to the fucking loose plot thread that is Michael Keaton is now in the fucking spot.
I totally agree.
And it's gonna be like Michael Keaton being like the fucking spunk and Nick Fury for the Sinister Six, and he's like, I'm putting together a team. I want you, Kraven. I want you, Venom.
Yeah, because Doug, I can definitely see the Kraven post-credit scene being like, he's in his like Kraven penthouse or his encampment or whatever, and then his Kraven caven, and like Morbius shows up and he's like, hey, what's going on? That's good.
Yeah, there we go.
He shows up. I'm Dr. Michael Morbius, and then the Vulture's there, and he's like, "We got some business to take care of with the Spider-Man." And Kraven says,
"What Spider-Man?
What's who?" But no, he'll say something because what's the story? Last Hunt, Kraven's Last Hunt. I was just like, "Oh, I'm always up for another great hunt" or something like that. And then, do we get like them opening a portal and walking through a portal? Like, is that something that is possible for them? Or is that like a Madam Web? Because the order that these come out in is Madam Web, Venom, Kraven.
Sure. So Madam Web could somehow fuck with the multiverse. We could get some light No Way Home tie-in stuff, and I think that somehow, some way, they're gonna tie these three godforsaken fucking movies together.
100% they will. Yeah, 100% they will.
And I think that multiverse stuff and Vulture is the closest we get to MCU stuff. But in the way that we would say that there was an MCU tie-in at the end of fucking Morbius, we got to say it for these, and I think it's somehow happening in all of them. I don't think it goes anywhere though. That's
no, absolutely not. It's cool, and I love talking about the like Venom 2 to No Way Home connection, wherein he just gets transported back in No Way Home, immediately in No Way Home, and they leave behind a symbiote because clearly Kevin Feige was like, well, we want to do the symbiote stuff. So we'll take that, but we're kicking Eddie Brock back to the Spunk universe.
So funny.
I love it so much. It's one of the funniest things that's ever happened in movies.
Now, what do you think the chances are of Eddie Brock drunkenly recounting a trip to an alternate universe to someone?
Oh,
because he was getting
like Venom,
informed
in like the post credits.
Yeah, or just a scene or something, just like a quick thing. Because the scene at the end of No Way Home is Eddie Brock at a bar being told about Thanos and the Avengers and Doctor Strange and all that crap. But he presumably he remembers all that, and so I think that they've got to write that in somewhere as a joke.
Yeah.
I
don't know. This is hurting my brain to think about. I can't imagine what it's doing to those poor writing interns over at Sony Pictures. I don't know.
I like the fact that you think that they give the MCU crossover material to interns to write.
Interns. Well, the executives are like, we didn't watch the movies. I don't know. You figure it out. Tucker, the last question that I have is, we're going back to franchise talk. Okay. I think for the last one of mine here. We're getting some some weird franchise installments next year. Like, we're only getting one MCU film. We're getting zero. Well, we're getting Joker, but we're getting, like, no DCU, DCEU stuff. Like, these typical franchises that we've been operating with, Mission Impossible, that kind of stuff. Like, we had that this year. We had a lot of those this year. And next year, we're getting some stuff that is weird to me or hasn't been active and is sort of like this latent IP. Stuff like Planet of the Apes, which had a closed-off trilogy, will be 2017 to 2024 is 7 years ago. Mad Max, which was in 2015, and it's a spin-off prequel. We're getting a new Alien film that we also haven't gotten since 2017. We're getting the second installment of a Ghostbusters continuing universe.
Yeah.
With like Paul Rudd and these kids.
That one makes more sense though.
Yeah, like it's Ghostbusters, but I'm like, so we are doing like, because Afterlife to me was like, oh, it's a legacy sequel.
Yeah.
Like, we're setting it in the same universe, but like, no, we're making this a thing now.
Yeah.
Like, we're running with this, and also the old actors are still there. It's a legacy sequel. We're getting another Bad Boys movie, which is odd to me because we just had one in 2019 that was like the last Bad Boys movie. 2020, excuse me. That was also a legacy sequel. We're getting a John Wick spin-off movie. We're getting animated Lord of the Rings and Transformers
those
movies.
are bizarre.
And so I just wanted to get your read on like, or is it just like a weird in-between time? Are we trying our hands? Are studios trying their hands at like, what are the other IP we have? In what directions can we take these?
Yeah.
What are your feelings on this?
I think the truth of the matter is the last thing you said is correct. It's the studios being like, we have IP that could potentially become the next big thing, and we need to give them a shot in order to diversify the marketplace a little bit. It's in different studios that have these. It's not like it was in the last pre-pandemic period that is basically just Warner Brothers and Disney pumping out all the big IP movies. And especially, I think this is kind of where my mind goes. The fact that Disney has kind of vacated the marketplace and their IP are more dead than they ever have been. Pixar, Disney Animation, MCU, and Star Wars are all basically non-existent next year. The only Deadpool 2 and Inside Out 2, Deadpool 3 and Inside Out 2 notwithstanding, Disney is, and then Mufasa at the end of the year, it's like they have left space for this to happen, and I'm very happy about that. But I also think that it is an in-between year because I err on the side of this being a down period for these big IP stuff, that they will come back within the next 3 to 5 years, whether that is with X-Men and Avengers stuff coming quickly.
New Star Wars movies.
Exactly, new Star Wars movies, the rebooting of the DC universe. All of this is coming, and we know that these plans are happening, and I think that there is a chance. I'm not saying I want this to happen, but I think there is a chance that we see a resurgent popularity of all of these things. And so I think all these other studios with all these other IP are just trying to be like, let's get in while the market is cool so we can try to be the next big thing and maybe push a little bit of market value away from just Star Wars, Marvel, DC.
And, the hopeful part of me says, we have these like weird franchise installments, and I think it's actually even the cool direction to take, like Lord of the Rings and Transformers to have these animated stuff, going on. So, what?
Hopefully better than the modern.
Hopefully better, all those. Hopefully better than like the Hobbit trilogy and recent Transformers movies. But yeah, Bumblebee's pretty good. But I'm weirdly hopeful, that like audiences will see this and be like, oh yeah, this stuff is interesting. I like the Planet of the Apes movies. I'll go see another one. I liked Bad Boys. They made a third Bad Boys movie. This one's called Bad Boys 4. That's really interesting. I must have missed Bad Boys for life. I'll watch it on Netflix, I guess. I'm excited for another Alien movie from Fede Alvarez, and it's like apparently good. And I'm excited for like that, like so that maybe some fervor to be catching on about these things, so we can explore other avenues as opposed to superheroes in Star Wars with franchising and stuff. So yeah, I guess that's where I come down on it as is like it seems to be coming out of desperation for studios, but hopefully it catches on.
Yeah, and now here's the where hopefully it catches on thing. This was my final question. Now, it's actually very funny that our last question signed up like this. My question to you, and I want to do a rapid fire, and then we can discuss more in length. And I want your pure gut feelings. Which of these franchise revivals will get sequels of their own? And I'm not counting Ghostbusters. Don't think about it too hard. Stop thinking about it. We're doing gut check here.
Sorry.
Ghostbusters doesn't count because that's already a sequel to something.
Right.
And Kingdom Planet of the Apes doesn't count because we know that they're planning that to be a series. Here we go. Twisters.
Okay.
Will that get a sequel?
No sequel.
No sequel down. Alien.
No sequel.
Will Fede Alvarez's Alien movie get a sequel?
Yes.
Okay, yes.
I think it does.
Do we get a Beetlejuice 3?
No.
No. Down for that one. Does this fucking No Way Home Karate Kid movie get a goddamn sequel?
No.
No. Down. Furiosa. Does Furiosa get a sequel?
No.
Does Beverly Hills Cop 4 get a sequel?
No.
No, I don't.
I think it's the end for actual Folie and Eddie Murphy there, I think.
Yeah. Let's see.
I think we're making a reboot, potentially, but that doesn't really count.
Yeah. I think that might be all the ones that I wrote down. Because all of these are ones that come from a long-running franchise that are now being kicked back into action. Now let's just go through some other things. Will we get sequels to other things? Will we get a Fall Guys sequel?
Tucker, I'm going to say that yes, we do. Yes, we do. I think I can foresee it now. I can see the I think the Fall Guy will do solid business actually.
Well, hold on, we're still going through gut check. Well, we can go through each season.
My mistake.
Will we get an Imaginary Friends sequel?
No.
Okay.
I don't think so.
Will there be?
I think Ryan Reynolds. Sorry, I keep trying to talk about these.
We'll go through them. Will we get a sequel to either Ballerina or Quiet Place Day One?
Quiet Place. I think we get Quiet Place 3. I don't know about Quiet Place Day 1 sequel. And Ballerina, no.
Will there be a Despicable Me 5?
Oh. That's
I think the safe bet is yes.
Okay.
Because why would they stop? This is
That's a great point, actually. That's a good point.
Like, it's not like the franchise is dying. Minions Rise of Gru made a shitload of money. Despicable Me 4 might be like top 3 highest grossing movies next year.
Steve Carell does. He gets fucking buco bucks from that. Yeah, Tucker. Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, yes, we get a Despicable Me 5.
Will there be a Harold and the Purple Crayon sequel?
No, no, I don't think so.
Borderlands 2.
No.
Any sequels to Spunk movies that are coming out next year?
No, I think we cap off Venom with a trilogy, and no way in fuck we get Kraven or Madam Web 2. No way in hell, dude.
Joker 3.
No, I think Joaquin Phoenix is done.
I think Joaquin Phoenix and Todd Phillips are like, we fucking did our bit. We'll make our
$1.5 billion and dust our hands of it. You know.
Dinner. Is this the last Saw movie?
No, I think we get another trilogy, baby.
They close off a third of a fucking
10, 11, 12. Yeah. Why not?
I guess. God, yeah, that lines up in a weird way. That's so fucking funny.
Yeah. And frankly, I think this is morbid and this is kind of sad, but I think
Tobin
it's
Bell
because
can't do it anymore. Absolutely.
I think Tobin Bell might die pretty quickly. This is really morbid. I feel bad saying this. But maybe during production of Saw 12, I think he might die.
Oh, holy shit. And the Big Tenor? They can write that into the fucking story somehow. They can make it a thing. And like we got feels thinking about Paul Walker and Fast and the Furious, there's going to be a Paul Walker-esque Saw 12 plot point of Tobin Bell passing away.
We get Tobin Bell's brother in to do some CGI work for him. Yeah.
This Wolfman movie. Will there be a sequel to this Wolfman movie?
No, I don't think so.
Smile 3.
Yes.
Wicked doesn't count. We know there's a part 2 coming for that. And either the animated IP movies next year get a sequel. Lord of the Rings or
Transformers, yes. Lord of the Rings, no.
Okay. And finally, two more. Sequel to Mufasa? That doesn't really make any sense.
I think we... Can I say contingent on if it does well? Is that allowed?
Well, I mean, I think that's kind of the assumption for all of these.
Sure.
But,
sure. Like, does it do well enough to get a sequel is the question.
No, but here's... Like, is there space for a Mufasa 2? Does Mufasa become its own sub-series that is tangential to Lion King, but is also Lion King?
For some reason, Tucker, if we're doing gut check, my gut says yes.
My gut
we get
also
a
says
Mufasa
yes.
the Lion King 2.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Bizarre. And Tanner, finally, is there going to be, at some point in the future, a Sonic the Hedgehog 4 movie?
Yes.
I don't think it'll be called Sonic 4. There's bad blood when it comes to that name. Sonic 4 game. The Sonic 4 game is really bad. That was the one I was playing the other day. Actually, it was fucking awful.
Okay.
I was being really mad at it. But they can make a Sonic Adventure movie. Sonic Heroes
Sonic and
movie.
Friends.
So whatever goddamn title they want to come up with. I think Adventure probably the one that makes most sense.
Yeah, sure.
But Tanner, that's all the movies. Any of these in specific you want to break down? Because we did rapid fire a few at the top.
Yeah, what was the one that I almost talked about? Was it
Fall Guy?
Oh yeah, Fall Guy. I think Fall Guy, like I said, is going to do solid business. I can definitely see the news already being like, Fall Guy 2 is greenlit after that.
After Tanner, let's start a little bet. What's the opening weekend of the Fall Guy going to be? Because every number I throw at it in my head doesn't make sense. I'm like, the
50?
Fall Guy. I'm like, no. The Fall Guy's the first movie of the summer. It can't open to $50 million. That'd be a huge disappointment. But then I'm like, the Fall Guy can't open to $100 million. Doesn't make any sense.
No fucking way it does.
So I think
I'm gonna say 50.
I'm gonna go a little higher. Tanner, I'm all in on the Fall Guy.
Okay, here we go.
Like a 60 to 75 kind of area.
Okay. Okay. I could. Yeah. That's like best case scenario. I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bizarre. But do you think it get? I think yes, it gets a sequel. I think that it being something new, presumably being good or at least high spectacle, and releasing in that summer slot that has kind of been untested for new IP. I think people will flock to see it, especially if they market it properly. And when was the last time we got one of these big IP movies that came out in a slot like this and didn't get a follow-up of some kind? It never happens anymore.
Yeah. So I think we get Fall Guy 2. It'll have Oscar nominee Ryan Gosling and Oscar nominee Emily Blunt.
Yep.
I wanted to talk about Imaginary Friends, Believe You Too.
Okay.
I think no. I think there's a world where yes, but like Ryan Reynolds is too busy.
Yeah.
But what? Oh, is he? Will he be busy enough after that?
He's busy now.
He's busy now. He's still got to make Red Notice 2.
Is that confirmed to be in production?
They said so. I don't believe them.
It's the fucking biggest movie ever made, or whatever.
Everyone's watching it all the time, including right now.
Tanner, there probably is someone out there watching Red Notice right now.
Yeah. Well, they just have Netflix just has an intern watching it at all times just to boost the numbers. Yeah. I'm still gonna say Imaginary Friends no for sequel.
Sure.
Yeah.
Oh, another one we didn't talk about, Garfield.
Yeah.
Garfield movie too.
Ooh.
I think probably.
I think that's fair.
Yeah.
I think that's fair. That Garfield movie is weird because it's got Garfield's dad voiced by Samuel L. Jackson in it.
Why is that weird? That makes sense.
I don't know. It is weird though. You don't think that's weird? It's like,
it's just strange. It's like that's the plot of the movie, basically.
Yeah.
That his dad's a big part of it.
To me, that's just weird. Is that it's like we're doing a Garfield movie and we're in, like that seems like a sequel to me.
No,
and
sure,
Garfield's dad is here.
Yeah. But then, what's the plot of the first movie? They get Odie or something? I don't fucking know.
The typical plot of a Garfield movie is that like that
hates
Odie
Mondays.
arrives, that Garfield hates Odie, and then I think this might be the plot of the first Bill Murray one, is that
God,
he
we're
like,
gonna watch those, aren't we?
oh yeah, we are, oh yeah, is that like he finangles a way to get Odie to like run away or like get taken to the pound or something like that, and he has to go rescue him. Like that's the typical plot of a Garfield movie, I think.
Yeah, out of the one Garfield movie we've had, the one first Garfield movie.
Oh yeah, one first Garfield movie. Tucker, I thought you were forgetting about A Tale of Two Kitties for a moment.
Would never.
Good. What was the other ones I was looking at here? I said Quiet Place 3, but no Quiet Place Day 1, Part 2. Despicable Me 5, yes. Twisters 2. Twisters is no.
Kung Fu Panda 5 is actually apparently a very possible thing. Yeah.
What was the other one that's...
Two Guile.
Two Guile. What was the other one that they just said was getting like... Oh, the new Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes movie.
Yes.
They said is getting a trilogy.
One,
yeah. Okay.
Now, do they finish off... Now, here's the question. Do they finish off the Godzilla and Kong trilogy?
Ooh.
I say yes because I think this next one will be big.
Mm-hmm. I think it'll be big. Yeah. Much to my chagrin, I really don't like those movies. But yeah, I think we get a third Godzilla X Kong, and it's like, what else could they possibly do? I'm not well versed enough.
Another monster.
Godzilla.
It doesn't fucking matter, Tanner.
But like, what's the ultimate monster?
Who knows? Who cares?
Godzilla fans, sound off in the comments if you know what is like the final boss for Godzilla. I know that he's had like final bosses. That's like the thing about him. But like, what is the one above all?
Supposed to be kind of Ghidorah. But they
did Ghidorah in the second Godzilla movie.
Correct. And then they did Mechagodzilla.
4 now, probably. Yeah.
A fucking clone, Godzilla Jr., Godzilla, Space Godzilla. It actually does not matter. They could also come up with something. They could fucking pull Gamera or Dogura or some shit from.
What if they take DNA from Godzilla and Kong and then splice it into a Godzilla Kong?
Tanner?
Kongzilla.
That sounds fucking awesome.
A giant monkey lizard that Godzilla and Kong have to team up to beat.
Tanner? That already is.
Adam Wingard, hire me right now.
It's already
Adam
$1 billion picture. Holy shit!
I will write your awful movies for you. Hire me. Tucker, I have a secret fourth question. I kept it hidden from you this entire time.
You were keeping all of it from me. This one's just as hidden as the other ones.
That's a good point, actually. I've seen some attitude online, if you can believe it, that 2024 will be, as it's been put a number of times on my algorithms, a filler episode.
Okay.
Based purely on the movies that we're getting in 2025. Now, we don't have to talk about those, but we're getting things like, the new Superman movie, and the MCU is back in 2025. And I've seen people labeling 2024 a no.
Yeah, if you label Blade and Thunderbolts as being back.
Yeah, well. But like I've seen people talking about 2024 as a filler episode. So Tucker, I sent you a list of these movies. We've talked about quite a number of them. Do you feel like it is like does this year feel weird to you? This upcoming year of movies, does it feel off? Does it feel like a bit of an aside before we get back onto some sort of track, whatever track we want to call this? I would kind of agree that it feels a little weird. It feels a little scattered to me.
Well, we
these
posited
movies.
this a little bit earlier that the lineup of studio IP films, which is what we know is coming out, it feels different than it usually has because it's mostly things that we aren't used to getting entries in.
Yes.
I, however, find that to be mentally to be a filler episode, as you said, only because things have been so stagnant for such a long time that for that second half of the 2010s, having a Star Wars movie every year and 3 Marvel movies every year, and like we knew what to expect, and they were going to be about just the same amount of quality and yada yada yada. And they were going to release in the same windows. The fact that I think last year kind of recaptured that. We kind of got, except for Star Wars, we kind of hit all the beats that we needed to. And this year to a certain degree, I think that this next year is actually exciting though, because
I would
I
agree.
am glad that it feels different, because it's been so predictable and safe, and not that all these things aren't like, 4-quadrant sanded down by studios, safe big budget movies,
Of course.
but they are at least somewhat different, and I find an
Yeah.
appeal in that. I don't know if necessarily I'm excited about them as I would be the next Star Wars or Marvel, because I'm more of a Star Wars and
Yeah.
Marvel fan than I am
Yeah.
all this other shit.
Mad Max and Kingdom of the Planet of
Yeah,
the
well,
Apes
hey,
and Ghostbusters.
don't fucking
and...
question my love for the monkeys, all right?
That's true. That's true. But new monkeys, Tucker.
That's a
New
good point.
monkeys.
I haven't rewatched this. I think it's a filler episode, but I think that's a good thing. I think we need a filler episode every once in a while.
Because I did have to take a quick glance, and 2025 people just feel that way because it's back to our regularly scheduled programming.
Exactly.
It's Mission Impossible, it's Avatar, there's 3 Marvel movies, it's hey, we have another Exorcist movie coming out. Then there's a Disney live action remake, there's an original Pixar property, which is crazy to me that we don't know what Walt Disney Animation's next movie is going to be. It's like a year away. And
it's also crazy that we
announced them.
we had there's a finished Pixar's next
Pixar
IP
movie
that was supposed to be released, and they're just like, don't
push
do
it a
that.
year.
Yeah.
Who cares?
Sorry,
But
Ollie.
Tucker, I think you nailed it. And we did talk about it a little bit earlier. Is that it feels like a filler episode because it's just stuff that we're not used to getting regularly.
Yes.
Because even back in 2015 when we had a Mad Max movie that was intermingled with an Avengers movie and a Jurassic World movie.
Though technically Jurassic World was new at that point. That was the Planet of the Apes at that point in time.
Yeah, that's a fair point. But yeah, I think you kind of hit the nail on the head there. That it's good, and I'll be excited to see at this time next year how we feel about the year of 2024 in movies.
Yeah, because I think there's also the chance that, again, as I think that the non-Disney studios are hoping that re-kickstarting IP like Alien and Mad Max and Karate Kid and all this stuff, if it can hit, because we are lacking what usually dominates the year in terms of box office and conversation, that those IP then become stronger. Those studios are more competitive with Warner Brothers and Disney, and then the future feels even more different because of that. Is maybe 2025 is back to regularly scheduled programming with Marvel and DC and all that, but maybe 2026 is. Those movies didn't do that well, but Alien and Mad Max really did, and so then those are the ones we're excited to see.
Yeah, it's exciting. It is exciting because at the end of the day, I'm very excited to see a new Alien movie and a new Mad Max movie. I think those movies will be good, and for whatever reason, I have faith in Gladiator 2. So yeah, I am excited for the coming year of movies, Tucker. And one last element of it that makes it feel like a bit of a filler episode, potentially, is that we had so many films from the master filmmakers, broadly speaking. We had a Nolan movie this year. We had a Scorsese movie this year. We had a new Greta Gerwig movie this year. We have a Ridley Scott movie this year and next year because he's a madman and he loves making movies and he just does one after the other. But
and then we're gonna get fucking Bomb or whatever.
We had a Hayao Miyazaki movie this year.
Yeah.
So we had a lot of these the ultimate masters of filmmaking coming in from the top rope in 2023. And that I think that really invigorated a lot of people, and it's inspiring. This 2023 is a fantastic year for movies. Look at all these great legendary directors who put out movies this year. Yeah. Some of their best work, as a lot of people feel, and I would say I agree in large part too. What's that?
No Ron Howard movies this year.
No Ron Howard movies this year. We'll get to it, I'm sure. But Tucker, you mentioned it. We got Bong Joon-ho next year. And that's really exciting.
Yeah, but he's kind of the only one that jumps out at me. I mean, we are mostly looking at the IP,
the big studio stuff that gets scheduled 2 years out.
Yeah.
Stuff like Killers of the Flower Moon that doesn't happen for.
No. Though that movie had release dates for the last 3 years because it was.
That's true. It did. So we'll have to wait and see when the auteurs shape up and how they shape up to be putting out their films. Sean Levy. I mean,
Todd
Barry
Phillips.
Levinson's putting out a new movie next year.
What?
Yeah. Do you remember the movie that it's called Alto Nights? It's got 2 Robert De Niro's in it. You remember that?
No, I don't. What
It's
was,
got
Barry,
Robert De
Tanner,
Niro.
what was Barry Levinson's last movie?
Don't know. Couldn't tell you.
Release date newest first. Okay, he worked on Dope Sick. What's The Survivor?
The Survive.
That's a movie, Barry Levinson movie.
Okay.
2021.
Don't know what that is.
Paterno, 2018.
Oh.
Yeah, it's a movie.
But yeah, I mean, that's another element of it is like we're at the end of 2023, looking back and being like, look at all these masters of cinema that put out movies, and what's 2024 got? I mean, like, we don't know yet. Frankly, we don't know yet, and that's why I had fun making this video with you, Tucker. That's why I had fun talking about everything that's yet to come. We'll be reviewing most, if not all, of the movies that we talked about today. And I'm very excited to do so. Tucker, thank you for joining me. And audience, thank you for joining me for this 2024 look peering into the future. We'll see you next time.
Open those peepers.